Hi, I'm going to take you through lesson 1.4. This is part of Unit 1, where students are going to understand the term good work as defined by excellence, ethics, and engagement. And in particular, the lesson goal is for students to understand how their school and other communities define the 3 E's, and in particular, relating this to their personal values and the values of their classroom. So really, in particular, this lesson is mainly looking at mission, how their school and community defines mission, and then looking at their classroom's overall values in relation to their own personal values. So in lesson 1.3, we asked for the students to complete their value sort and to understand their own personal values. And then in this lesson, we're really asking them to come together and look at how their class really understands their values together and how this relates to maybe their own school's values and the values of their community. So the first activity here is for the class to look at their common values, the class's entire values together, and to really have a brief discussion about that. And so in 1.3, we said that the easiest way to get this information is to use the Peasy Tools value sort. And so that's the one. If you go here, it looks like this. You can use an event code, and then you would have the aggregated class values all together. However, we realized that using the Peasy Tools value sort is not an option for everyone. So you might have had your students use the online digital individual value sort. You might have had them do the individual worksheet. And so you're wondering how to have them aggregate that information so you can use it in this lesson plan. And so we've actually created a PDF that you can use as a way to aggregate that information. So if you go to our Community of Practice website and you scroll down, you can see here, use this PDF to find out your class's aggregate values without a computer. And you can either click there or you can click here. And it will open up and you can see the directions here. Of course, you can do it however you want, but it's just a suggestion for how to place these posters around your classroom and have your students go around, quickly tally up their top 4 and bottom 4 values. So it's not everything, but it's their top 4 and bottom 4, which are really the ones you're mostly going to look at. And then create some quick graphs. And these are all the values. And we've had real success with teachers using this in their classroom. And then once you've done that, you can then talk about these different questions with your classroom for a quick class discussion about that. It's a great activity. We find it really useful in conjunction with the other element of this lesson. Obviously, if you have to drop something from this lesson, I think this is probably the element that would make more sense to drop. But if you can, I think I'd probably just try and shorten both elements to get both of them in here so that you can really talk about them in conjunction with one another. So that's probably what I would do. But if you want to drop one element, I probably would drop this more so than the other element of this lesson, or try to do each of them in one lesson, one after the other. The next part of this lesson is what is our school mission and how does it relate to our values. So if you project your mission statement onto your board or your whiteboard or just write it on a blackboard. If you don't have one, we say you could come up with one. You could use your class's values to really think about one. We find that most schools do have some element of this. Then breaking students into student groups and really giving them a chance to discuss these questions. We also have a worksheet available with these questions for the lesson. And having them just talk, like, how are their values related to this mission? How is it good for their school? What is important to their school? Do they agree with the mission statement? You could also do the mission statement for your community rather than your school. It's really up to you. Or just you could do them in conjunction. You could do one after the other depending on how much time you have. It's really fun to get into both of them. How are they related? How are they different? And just thinking about those different elements. And then you could also do an alternative to a discussion. So if you feel like the students are not really responding well to discussions, or they would do better with some form of acting or a play, or maybe they prefer artistic elements or creating posters. Again, you don't have to feel stuck into doing a student discussion, but the prompts are there for you to use in however, whatever manner you feel is most appropriate. Bring them back together to share out. I would have each group share out something that they learned from this discussion. You could use a thinking routine potentially, something like a 3-2-1 bridge, which I have a poster here from. 3 things I learned, 2 questions I still have, 1 challenge I faced. You could just have each group share 1 thing they took away from the discussion, of course. And then have them write up a homework about something that they, what a good work means, and look back at their personal values about how those values are in alignment or not with those of their mission, of their community. So this is where we really get into the community element. So looking at the worksheet about what are the values and mission of their community, and how their values are in alignment with them. We really leave community open-ended. They can choose any particular community, their religious community, their local community, their friendship community. I mean, they can really define community however they want it, and then reflect on how their values are in alignment or not in alignment with that community. But this is a time for them to really think about that. That doesn't mean you can't get into community in the lesson, but this is just a time for them to really reflect more deeply on that element. If they need a reminder on the values, they always can go back to their own personal value sort, or they can always download the value cards from our website. Again, they're available on thegoodproject.org/value sort, and then if you scroll down, you can click here for the value sort cards. So again, if you just scroll over, here's just a reminder. These are some of the questions for the mission discussion. This is the mission reflection discussion where they break up into groups. It's just a place for them to take some notes. And then this is the homework where they actually get into it afterwards and just define a particular community and how their values are in relation to that community. Hope that helps. Thanks so much.